Good morning. Welcome to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Cartenuto from Flagler Humane Society. I have a special guest today, all the way from Charleston, South Carolina. It's Keegan Spera. Yay! Good morning,
Hi.
Keegan.
Good morning, Amy.
So, you work for the University of Florida in a pretty impressive position, I think. You are the data lady. You help keep all the shelter information coordinated so that we get to see the progress that we're making in animal welfare and animal sheltering. So thank you so much for all that work. I'm sure sometimes it's not super glamorous. Uh,
Nope, not glamorous, a lot nerdy, but yeah,
but
just fun for me.
and you have 21 years in animal welfare. You've done
Yeah.
everything from shelter management, research, which is kind of what you're in now, and then
Mhm.
and you're part of the University of Florida's shelter medicine program, which is huge. And then
Yes.
and also, I don't know what we'll get into the data first or your personal stuff first, but you're a huge fan of sea slugs.
Yes, sea slugs, they're the coolest creatures on Earth. I love them.
Well, let's talk sea slugs for a minute because I don't think I've ever had
Oh,
a guest that was a sea slug fan.
oh my gosh. It just happened like a decade ago where I came across this post, I think it was on Instagram, of this tiny little green creature
Mm,
that looked like a sheep with like leaves growing out of its back. And it was called a nudibranch. Um,
okay.
and they have the leaf sheep sea slug. And that was like the gateway drug of
Oh.
sea slugs. I just went downhill from there, and there are over 3,000 different kinds of sea slugs. Um, and I have like favorites, of course, and I do digital paintings of them to create patterns and yeah, like watercolor paintings also.
Uh-huh. I know.
They're just the coolest.
I was gonna say you are super, super talented artist too. So you have painted sea
Thank
slugs.
you.
Okay.
Yes, I have. And they're not big creatures, but I bring them big energy on canvas,
Mm-hmm.
and but yeah, they're like a few millimeters big in the
Mm-hmm.
ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
they're really cool.
jeez. Who'd have thunk? Like we could have done a whole show on sea slugs, but now we're
Yes,
tied into.
anytime you want to talk sea slugs, bring me back.
Yay. So let's talk about some of your work for U of F with Shelter Animals Count. Is that still what it's called? Because I know it's changed names a couple times, hasn't it?
Oh, so our data collection is the Florida Shelter Census, um, and our dashboard is me. I use an Excel workbook, and I've been collecting this data since 2018. They started collecting data in 2013 with the Florida Statute 823.15 that requires all
Mm-hmm.
animal shelters or
Transparency.
organizations that
Yeah.
house, yeah, animals to have that transparency. And so I have developed relationships with all the shelters in Florida over the last 8 years, and some shelters will even send me their data without me asking. I'm like, okay, it's beautiful. But it's a lot of fun for me because not only do I get to reconnect with the people at shelters that send me the data and stuff, but I also get to right into what's happening in the state, in the county, in the region, and in
Mm-hmm.
individual shelters. And I haven't had many shelters take me up on it yet, but every time I offer, to do like an in-depth analysis of their shelter for them to show them how they can use their data to make better choices for programming, for trending, areas of risk, that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Super cool. Super cool. And so
yeah,
what kind of trends are you seeing in Florida? Because you're only looking at Florida, or are you looking beyond
yeah,
Florida?
nope, just Florida.
Just Florida. But
Florida is
Florida
my babe.
Yeah, and we're pretty good. Like I know as far as animal welfare goes, we're up there. We have some really good animal welfare laws. We got good shelters, so we're pretty good, I think. I know we could always be
Yeah.
better, though. We could always be
Yes.
much better.
Yes.
So,
There is always room for improvement. But as a whole, from 2013 to 2025, the numbers really show the difference in life saving in Florida. Um, there are always, those uh, not discrepancies, but like the differences between the rural areas and the urban areas, where you can see that intake in the rural areas is really high, which means euthanasia is really high because they also don't have the resources that the larger urban areas have. A lot of the county budget goes to public services, and animal welfare is usually at the bottom of the list there, so they get scraps. Which is why I'm also worried if this property tax amendment passes in November, because I know that a lot of municipal shelters will feel the impact of that with cut budgets and probably like reduced animal control staff operations. So hopefully it doesn't pass. Don't know. Oh.
So like you say, trends are a little bit obviously. Unfortunately, funding does make a difference. There's animal shelters in Florida, some of the private ones in the richer areas of the state that just their facilities look like the Mall of Millennia. They look like Disney.
Yeah.
And then there's places that are run out of the back of a gas station, and it's
Yep.
too bad that there's not a uniformity or a fairness. But I guess that's the way of that goes beyond just animal welfare. I guess that's just the way of the world. But I would love.
Yeah.
It just seems so unfair that a lost dog in some counties is just like automatically, the owner is searched for, and if the owner isn't found, the dog's definitely going to get adopted. And then in some places, that's not the case. It's just.
Yeah.
I wish we could make things more fair, but anyway. But I think the fact that you collect all this data it lifts all of us up. We're able to learn from each other. And you collect what are some of the things that you collect data on, like numbers of animals. I know you do length of stay, right? The length of stay that an animal's at the shelter. Don't you keep track of that?
We don't.
Okay.
So we collect what's called aggregate data, which is just total data. We don't collect the individual animal records. So I would love to do that. I would love to get all of the shelters buy-in to do that, but I know it's incredibly difficult for some of the under-resourced shelters who are still using paper records to send individual animal records. Like I know Cameron and I will be visiting Chipley soon to go hand count their paper records that we do every year. But it's also an opportunity for us to, pull cats from there and to bring supplies that they need and go visit shelters in the area. But we just collect cat and dog data. When we know that shelters take in other animals and they have, municipality policies and stuff to take in livestock and cruelty cases. And if I had access to all of the individual animal data, that would be an even more impactful study that we could do to show how those cruelty cases affect, staff and the length of stay for other animals.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes.
But yeah, we just do what's known as the standard, they used to call it the basic data matrix, but now it's the shelter animals count population. That's population balance, intake and outcome disposition. And so we do live intake only, animals that are deceased before they meet an officer or whatever are not counted in intake or outcome. And we track noses in, noses out that are breathing for coming in. And we also don't count animals that are moving around in different locations. Like if they're going to foster care and they're coming back from foster care, we don't track those because it's
That
just
would
a
be
change in
crazy.
location.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah, oh
a
my gosh.
you would need more than one Keegan for that, I think.
Yes, you would. And I love being able to see the data coming in every year because, you get familiar with it and you can see when something's a little weird in their data. So, like this year, I've been working hard with Chameleon to get some of the shelters fixed up because they were either using Chameleon incorrectly or they didn't have mapping correct in their Chameleon. And so whenever they submit their data to Shelter Animals Count, the national database, and I pull it from our coalition, the data that's in their system and the data that I get are different because it included, clinic animals or animals that they received calls about but never actually came to the shelter. And I'm like, wow, your intake went up 7,000 this year? That's weird.
Yeah, they started tracking it differently. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
making sure the data gets put in correctly is kind of step one.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to talk more with you about this, and then also the fact that you also are part of a disaster coordination network. So we're going to do all that when we come right back. We're back to Speaking of Animals. I'm Amy Cartenuto here with a couple of great guests. We have yet to introduce Stuffing. Stuffing is this beautiful, super blonde lab. She's about 3 years old. Oh, she just knocked her camera down. She's camera shy. No fair, Stuffing. You got to let everybody see how pretty you are on YouTube. Stuffing is just kind of a mellow lab. You know how labs are like, they're crazy when they're puppies, and then the minute they turn 2 years old, they're perfect. So Stuffing is 3 years old, so she's perfect right now. She's super house trained. She rides well in the car. She gets along with everybody. She's just one of those like easygoing. So if you're looking for a young-ish pup, but not a puppy that you have to potty train and everything, this girl is just the right mix of fun and manners. She might be your girl. So come to the shelter and visit Stuffing. Like I said, 43 pounds, healthy, friendly. I think she's cat friendly, kid friendly. She's a lab. So definitely come look her up. She's beautiful. So back with Keegan, another beautiful blonde. So Keegan, you also help coordinate every disaster response that I've known of in recent history, hurricanes. And so what got you into that, and what all do you do in that kind of work? I know you're basically coordinating animal control people, animal welfare workers. So you're coordinating people that are already in it, but we're all crazy. So we need somebody to herd us in the right direction when we need to help an area in need. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're right. It is a little bit like wrangling cats sometimes, but it kind of came about organically. There was this huge gap in disaster coordination specifically for animal shelters in Florida. Florida SARC, the State Animal Response Coalition, used to help with the coordination and stuff, and then the program kind of dissolved and came back up underneath SPCA Florida as one of their programs, and it took a while for it to pick up again. But their mission is to get shelters trained up to set up pet-friendly shelters. Because I know a lot of county municipalities, they're required to set up a pet-friendly shelter for...
Thank goodness.
Yes, thank goodness. It is a law, so by law they have to have one. But they train volunteers to help with that also because, it's not like the county provides staff to staff the co-located shelter. So a lot of the regular animal control officers and stuff have to do double duty. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have Florida SARC there to supplement the work being done there. But while that was happening, we had big hurricanes. There was Maria, and then we had Ian. Ian alone was a very intense coordination for our program. And as the years have gone by, like, I've gotten more and more involved in it, and I love the background work. You know, pulling in all of the national organizations, regional and statewide, who normally respond to disasters, get them all talking to one another in one meeting so everyone knows what the other digit is doing. But I also love pulling in all of the shelters that we can, because there are resources out there, and oftentimes, you know, it's an easy solution. We just need to know who needs what and who has what to give. So I'm actually working on an ASPCA research grant right now to do a comprehensive study of what it would look like how feasible is it to put together an animal shelter coordination program specifically in Florida, using the resources we have here, and then what else is needed.
And when you say animal shelter, you're meaning a disaster shelter, right?
All 153 brick and mortar Florida animal shelters. Municipal, private, doesn't matter. What resources do we have? Where are there gaps? Where are there risks? So it's just putting together the foundational research to potentially develop some kind of program.
Awesome.
Because oftentimes we're left out of, you know, the county responses. Their focus is big ag and, you know, clearing roads and all
course.
that.
Yeah, of course.
Which they should be.
Yes, I was just going to say, as it should be. I know locally,
as it should be.
Locally here in Flagler County, we are so blessed. You know, we have great folks at our EOC, and then we have great volunteers and our staff, and our shelter is pretty hurricane proof. We stay at our Humane Society during hurricanes, but then we also open up the pet friendly shelters in the schools, and that's our task to do that. And luckily, we haven't been hit hard with anything that had any lasting effects. So we were able to open up the shelter for a few days, let people evacuate. Then as soon as the storm's over, they go home. So we've been very lucky to not have to call on you, knock on wood, but we know who to call if we do need. So thank you. Thank you for your hard work on that, and hopefully you keep making progress. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. So Keegan, you we have sort of how we want to wrap this up and tell people some of the cool stuff that they can look up that you're putting together, right?
Yeah. You can go to our University of Florida Shelter Medicine Program website. We will give the link to Amy, and she can share that. But you're more than welcome to hop on there and look at the data for your local shelter or your county and see, you know, what's happening and maybe how you can help.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, Keegan. I got a couple quick things I want to mention. I don't know if you want to drive all the way down from Charleston, South Carolina to do this, but this is, I think, the first I've ever heard of this kind of event. It's called the Mazda Joyride event. So August 15th at the Mazda dealership in St. Augustine, they're doing, it's kind of two things. We're bringing shelter dogs, and people can take them on a joyride. So they can, and they're test driving the Mazdas at the same time. So everybody who test drives a Mazda, we get $50 just for somebody. I know, isn't that cool? And you can take a shelter dog for a ride. Like, it's going to be so much fun, and we're going to have, like food and games for kids and raffles and other stuff too. But like I think it's going to be really fun, and
Oh,
so
awesome.
I know we're looking forward to that. So a little bit of a transport time for you, but come down July or
That's all. If I'm in the area, I'll be there.
August 15th at the Mazda dealership in St. Augustine. It's on Marketplace Drive, if anybody knows St. Augustine. We're also just throwing out a save the date for our big golf tournament every year. I have
Mhm.
heard it from a lot of people that the Humane Society golf tournament is the best golf tournament, and it's going to
Oh,
be at Grand Haven at our usual place, Grand Haven, and it's Monday, December 7th. So just put that on your calendars. December 7th is taken for the golf tournament, and we'll get you more details as it gets closer. So, but again, everybody come see Stuffing, who's up for adoption. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Stuffing. And I want to thank you again, Keegan, for being on the show.
thanks for inviting me. I had a great time.
I know. Always have a great time with you, and you're also talented artist. We gotta, like
Thank
I said,
you.
I gotta look now closer at your Facebook page and look for sea slugs. So,
Oh my gosh. I will send you all the information.
yay! All right, all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care.